It is the first week of November, and we have been blessed by the evil Victor Artenstein with the first ever 1.17 snapshot. But as we enter the industrial age, what horrors may come from the brand new electrical powers that we now possess? With blocks of copper, lightning rods, spyglasses and gothic candles, a dark force seems to be looming over the Minecraft world. Or perhaps under. Whatever it is, I'm sure we'll get a taste in some of the future snapshots. With that out of the way, welcome to the first build hack video we've had in a while. It's snapshot 29W45A, and I have a bunch of designs utilising the brand new blocks. These things involve cakes, crystals, copper, and all kinds of other words beginning with C. So anyway, let's get into it. Before I get into this is not a snapshot review. If you want to look at all of the features in depth, I would suggest visiting Minecraft.net or checking out Azumavoid or Ray's Works channels, as well as a bunch of other creators who have a much more in-depth look at all of the features. But anyway, let's begin with Tough. Now, this is a very short name for a block with a variety of uses. Like, this has so many uses. It's a wonderful grayscale block. It's probably one of my brand new favourites, and I know I say that all the time whenever a new grayscale block comes out, but this is the perfect transition between this cobblestone face of basalt and cobblestone. It's the perfect colour in between, and it makes for some great stone gradients. Now, I've actually built a cathedral style of church or something here, just to display these designs. This is mainly for the roof design, however. But over here we have a copper roof, or should I say it's gradiating from dark prismarine to warped planks to cut copper and to prismarine bricks, and I must say this is a wonderful gradient. Now, this very much reminds me of those cathedrals you get with the very blue roofs. I believe they're made out of copper, I could be wrong, but it seems like the likely choice of a roof block. Now, I must admit the textures do not really work well together. This is best viewed from a distance as a gradient, and it looks really great in my opinion. I love this design, and it's just a wonderful block to use in my opinion. Now, on a smaller scale, I'll be taking a look specifically at the candles, and the black ones in particular. So I've got a little mine entrance here, and look at this. This is some coal, and it's got tiny little shards or little lumps of coal next to it, which looks really great with the black candles in my opinion. I've got some crates of coal and things just to emphasize that it's all scattered around, it's being mined up and transported and things, and it looks great in my opinion. And as we go in here, we can also see there's some copper mixed with some granite to look like veins of copper. You could even have chunks of it which have been mined out with the regular candles, the undyed ones. We have some crystals here, just as some decoration, but this one is probably one of the first things I thought of when I saw the red candles. They look just like sticks of dynamite. Now, I'm not sure if anyone else has seen this, but yeah, these look great next to TNT. You can even add them next to each other even more, which looks great in my opinion. It's just a wonderful little design that I noticed. I'm not sure how often it could be used, but it's a really nice detail when used with TNT. Next up, we have a very fantasy elven building, and look at this. This is probably one of my favourite build hacks out of all of these. On the floor, we have some mushrooms using the amethyst blocks, as well as the amethyst crystals. They could also be roughly used as flowers or mushrooms, which I think is great. And we've also got some larger scale toadstools. These pointy ones as well make use of the purple concrete, the purple wool, and the amethyst blocks. Unfortunately, the budding amethyst blocks can't be used in survival, which have a slightly different texture, but it really doesn't make much of a difference because these look practically the same. We've also used it as a gradient in the roof from the purple wool to the amethyst blocks and right up to the purple blocks, which are a wonderful example. And as you can see here, we've also got a gradient from the birch logs and the diorite to the brand new calcite block and to the wool, which looks great as well. This is a very dirty looking wool almost. It's a great way to gradiate from the diorite. My only problem with it is it doesn't tile very well, so you really should be using it as a textured gradient rather than a full block gradient like we have over there. One more design as well, we have some little bulrushes, or cattails as you call them in the US, and these on top of sugar canes, or I think glass panes might work as well. They look great, look at them, they're just wonderful looking cattails, and to be honest they're even really accurate because the cattails themselves do have these tiny stubs on the top. Although they might not be quite as black as this, it still works really well. This is by far the best use for the brown candles, and it's the best way of making bulrushes, which have been attempted multiple times in the past, but haven't quite reached this level. I think the best ones were with the sea pickles and the flower pots, but even those had little holes in the top which didn't work. And now we go into a very modern day design. We have a very typical street, and this is a bakery. It could be any shop really, it could be a fashion shop, it could be anything, but this bakery works particularly well in my opinion. So we just have a roadside, a pavement, and then a brick bakery here. The block choice for the bakery isn't too important. The main thing is this tinted glass to display the brand new cakes with the candles in, which looks marvellous in my opinion. I just love how this looks, and it really allows us to manipulate the light in this specific area and still be able to see in without having too much effect from the sunlight. You could have a really dim room that still has glass windows out in the middle of nowhere, which looks great, especially since the candles don't emit that great of a light level. Then round here we also have some nice floor designs and things, but my favourite thing here has got to be the table here, with the lightning rods here acting as table legs. Unfortunately you can't put anything on the table, so if you're going for that sort of purpose, then I wouldn't suggest using these simply because the trapdoors are on the upper layer of the block. But I think this looks great still. It's a really lovely room design. It really adds a lot to the room. It is a bit bright. It might work better with acacia trapdoors, but it still looks wonderful. And next up, I really love my bedroom designs, I must admit. We have a few different purposes here. Firstly, once again, we have this carpet. I've used this design so many times, but we're going to skim over that. We have a grandfather clock here. I love this as a pendulum. To be honest, if I'm building a clock in any building, I'm always going to use this as a pendulum. It's by far the best block now. It just works so well. You can imagine this swinging back and forth. Normally I'd use a bell or a blaze rod in an item frame or something, but this works wonderfully. Then we also have some candles, which, simply put, they're just great interior designs. They're perfect. We've needed them for ages and we've got them now. Over here we have an ink pot with a black candle, and I've used this design as a pencil pot before, but that looks great. And then over here we actually have a curtain design with the curtain rod that you pull down to draw the curtains, which looks really great in my opinion. I love this room design. You could have so many functions with all of these different blocks. Now, I must admit, I did kind of go a bit above and beyond for this room, and we've got actually a load of different designs here. Firstly, over here, we have a little shelf with a skull and some gothic candles, which looks great. And then we have the calcite with simply just the cobblestone. It is such a great texture. Look at that for the wall. That's one of the best blocks in the game, I've got to admit, right here, right now. Now, on this table here, we do have some purple candles. It's sort of like a Christmassy celebration, I guess. Purple candles are used quite frequently in Christmas and Advent. And then over here, we have some candles on the end rods, which fit perfectly. Even though the hitbox is technically smaller, it does fit perfectly onto the end rods. It just works really well. And over here, we have a copper rod with the flower pot on top. It just looks like it's supporting a flower pot, I guess. But another one of my favourite designs here is just simply the copper rods as railings. You can use the acacia trapdoors or the jungle trapdoors for that matter on top, and it looks fantastic. But another great purpose is for chandeliers. Now, I must admit, the texture is a tiny bit bright, so it does pop out a bit more than the gold and the yellow glass. But this round shape, using the copper rods combined with the chains and the lanterns, works wonderfully. Yeah, I don't really know what to say other than this is such a great block and I'm really going to utilise it so much in interiors. It's such a unique shape as well. Moving on, we have a simple garden design. Firstly, we have a tree, a birch tree, and normally I'd use white concrete powder mixed in with the birch wood for birch trees because while it is expensive, it's definitely the best looking one. But now we've got the calcite and that easily works best with the birch texture. That seamlessly works next to it without any of the black dots. It's just perfect. That's all I need to say. Then round here we have a sword in the stone. Now normally you'd use, I think, end rods and iron bars for this. But now you've got this, you've got a really cool hilt design. It looks awesome as a sword, just like Excalibur buried in the stone. It looks wonderful. I love that so much. Over here we have some potential like lavender or things like that, some herbs. And over here we have a grapevine using these budding amethyst crystals as little grapes or flowers or something like that, which looks great. We're going to brush past 3 very quick designs here. Firstly, we have the tuff as a wall. This looks really great as some kind of Cornish or Tuscan or any kind of granite design or something like that. It looks great replacing that in any kinds of builds just as a singular wall block. It looks wonderful. It's one of my favourite blocks now. That's all I have to say. Then on the floor we have a wonderful blend of the weathered copper blocks as well as the granite. And then in here we have a wonderful aquarium. Sorry Skunk, I'm kind of stealing your job here. But we've got some brain coral with the brain corals here. And we also have some pink candles which work as tiny little corals. Obviously you can't light them underwater, which is a bit of a shame, but it looks wonderful and it obviously makes sense nonetheless. Another feature we were introduced to in the first 1.17 snapshot are lava logged cauldrons, and this is simply for parity with the Bedrock edition, which has had this for ages. But I have a few designs over here. Firstly, we have like some kind of forging table, and we actually have campfires under these cauldrons, which puts the smoke particles upwards, and that looks fantastic. We also have a smoke cauldron with an anvil, just as some decoration. And over here we have some copper with the weathered copper and the honey blocks, sort of like they're smelting or they're making alloys or something, using the copper with really hot conditions. That's a very simple design. I really like it though. It could work really well in so many medieval blacksmiths. And my final design, the cut copper, works perfectly for laboratories or bathrooms. This is such a typical colour for a bathroom, especially a public bathroom, but you can even have these in home bathrooms. Yeah, that's all I need to say. Normally you'd use dark prismarine. It's a bit too dark though, and this is just the perfect texture and the perfect colour. On the floor we do have a simple checkered design. We have some loo roll using the white candles, some toilet roll, and we have a simple shower here with some dripping from the the light blue candles, which looks a bit cartoony. I would understand if you don't want to use that, but it still looks quite cool. Especially from behind here where it's a little bit more faded. Barely noticeable to be honest, but it's a really cool design. Just having water raining down on you. But that is it. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I loved coming up with these designs. They're all really awesome. To be honest, I normally say this one's my favourite, this one's my favourite, but honestly, I could not pick a favourite for this one. This is probably one of the best snapshots we've ever received, especially for building. I love all of the blocks they've added, and I can't wait to see for the next 1.17 snapshot. It's going to be very hard to beat this one. So, thank you for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, please, as usual, leave any suggestions down below. Let me know what you would have included on this list. What have you been using these blocks for? And what do you think will come in the next 1.17 snapshot? Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.